How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So as part of my knife modifying, knife making, knife repairing, show and tell knives season, so all about the knives, I've got another video for this knife here that I picked up from Springfield, which is a military surplus shop online. And I've been curious. I bought it out of curiosity, if anything, and I need to modify it. Oh, actually, not necessarily modify it, but yeah, there will be some small mods made, but more so to get it to a usable state. Because at this point in time, it's dull. You know, it came really dull, and it was about £7, and it's called um, Imacasa. So Imacasa is the name of the brand. Never heard of them, and it was about £7, and it's a 7-inch blade. It's not something I would use in practicing bushcrafting, what I've not doing woodworking with, although you could probably do that with this knife. However, it's quite thin. It resembles a Old Hickory style knife I've seen online, and the Old Hickory ones, you know, we don't really get them here in the UK, and I've seen them on YouTube, and I've always been curious. But when you do get them here in the UK, they charge a bit too much for what they're worth. They're just, you know, a little butcher's knife. And they're patterned on is it the frontier style knives, you know, when they had the fur trade and what have not. And I believe, and this is just only my understanding from what I've read, so if I'm wrong, guys, correct me. But I understand that this is the style of knives hunters used to take, and the fur trade, and used to cut the beaver felt, and they used to do cooking with it, camp chores, and that's the type of shape it is. I've never had a knife like that before, and I was curious, and I was just wanted to know, you know, what the deal was. £7. Now it's worth the pun. Now I won't be using it for any woodcraft or anything like that. I have my designated woodcraft style knives, my Moroccaneve, my Martini knives. I've also got my A. Wright and Son, my Jack Law, my different wood laws. I've got them knives that I use for woodcraft. This, I'm thinking, is going to be more of a designated kitchen knife, but not for my actual kitchen, even though I test it there first. Things like barbecues, if I'm going to bushcraft meats, which I'm planning to set up soon, this is going to be my food prepping knife, and cut my meat, cut my vegetables and things like that. And it can live in the barrel, in my canoe barrel, and it can do all my food prepping. I've got a small food prepping knife that I made, and this can be a secondary knife that can complement that. So that's the idea for this knife. It's going to be my sort of outdoor kitchen knife. Let me turn around the camera and show you what it looks like. I haven't seen this knife on YouTube yet. Okay, so this is going to be the first looks. It's not a review, guys. I don't do reviews, but I'll give you a first glimpse. I don't really, you know, take gear and go review it, because that's just all opinionated stuff. But it gives you an idea to what to look at, and then if you do decide to buy one, that's up to you. I'll give you my thoughts, my initial thoughts, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to it. Okay, let's have a look at this knife. So, guys, this is the one here. As you can see, it resembles, from my understanding, from what I've seen on YouTube, a knife that I've been interested in. But if we do get them over here in the UK, they're always a little bit overpriced, which is their Old Hickory knives. I believe they're made by Ontario, and they're just basic knives like this. And it's got that butcher profile, which is what the butchers, I suppose, when they come to butchering meat, and that the whole point of this bit is to lift up the skin of the carcass and what have not. This one's called Imacasa. Okay, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Imacasa. And I saw it on Springfield for £7, and this is the 7-inch version. It's made from 1074 steel, which is, I believe, is a spring steel. Correct me if I'm wrong there, for any knife makers out there know their steels. It comes dull. I mean, look, nothing. It's dull. There's no edge on that at all. So obviously it needs to be prepped before actual use. Comes some warnings on there. I'm not going to read that. When working with tools, make sure you're using safety equipment. yeah, I mean, it's not much to say about it, to be honest. It's just a basic knife with a basic handle, basic riveting. And as it being basic, it was only £7. It's very thin. It's just a little over 1 mil. That's if I was to guess that, maybe even just shy of two. They put a bit of a bevel on there. I think this will probably benefit from a little secondary bevel. For my use, I'm using it for cooking purposes when I'm outdoors, and mainly for when I'm carrying a heavier load, so not like backpacking or anything. But if I'm going canoeing, I can put this in my canoe barrel. I'm going to bushcraft meets, and I can put it in the car with all my kitchen gear. That's what this is going to be for. So I'm going to take these stickers off. So what is my aim with this knife? What I'm going to do is just get it up to scratch. Now the handle, I'll do the stickers in a minute. It's not even, it's not flush, there's no frills here. Things are dirty from the glue. Not this glue, but glue I was doing earlier. There's a bit of a gap in there and it's not even. So I'm just going to even all that up with the handle just by taking it to the belt sander. It's quite square and clunky, so I'm just going to soften up these edges on the belt sander. I'm not going to do too much to this. May give it a little polish. We'll see how that turns out. I think it could be a type of pine that's on here that's been stained. I'm not sure. And then I'm just going to put an edge on it with the belt sander. After that, I'll take it to a sharpening stone. Not going to go too crazy with my water stones. I might do, see how it goes, but I'll start off with my oil stone, see how that goes and see how that works, and then be done with it. I don't need to do anything to the spine. I'm not going to be striking ferro rods off it or anything like that. Like I said, this is going to be a food prepping knife, and it's going to complement my smaller one that I made, that I take with me quite often. So it's just so I can chop my veggies, chop my meat and stuff like that, and then that way I'm not turning to my woodcraft knives to do them same tasks. I think this would be better to chop onions and stuff like that than any of those knives. So for £7, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to rehandle this, although you might buy something like this and want that as a project, and by all means do so. I personally just don't think it's needed, okay, for what I'm using it for. I'll rehandle it when the handle actually fails on me. For now, I'm just going to get it up to working standards, and that's it. Because at the moment, there's nothing there. Nothing there. I don't even need to tape it up right now because it's dull. So I'm going to get it sharp, and then sort the handle. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to take these stickers off, and then I'm going to just start working the edges off this. Okay guys, so giving this a bit of a sand, rounded off the corners that were sort of sharp, and I'm not going to go too crazy with this because obviously with it being an inexpensive knife, I don't see the point in going too crazy. I mean, some people want to buy something like this and rehandle it or what have not. Bear in mind, my intended use is just literally chopping up food with it. That's all I'm going to do there for the sanding. I'm not even going to work down grits here. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean here. So I'm going to put some, might just give it a little wash because it's got some stickers still on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my own stain on there. So I'm going to put my own sort of dye type of stain. I'm going to let it dry, wipe it off, and I'm just going to give it just a little buff just to see how that goes. But this is poorly made, guys. So if you are looking at this Imacasa blade, it's unfinished. So it's not poorly made. I shouldn't say that. It's unfinished. Okay. So the handle, I literally just put 2 bits of wood on, coloured it, give it a rough sort of shape, and no edge. And you can see here the edge is flat ground all the way either side. I'm not going to flat grind it and keep flat grinding it, because if I take it to a 0 grind, with this being so high up, being quite a shallow grind, so to say, this is a thin blade. So this here would be like a razor. It will never hold its edge, because obviously it'll be almost like tinfoil, so to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep what they've got, and I'm just going to put a very, very, very slight micro bevel all the way around. So like a little secondary bevel all the way around. And what that does then is take a blade this thin, they start off the grind, and then I'm just going to add just that little bevel to add strength to it, so therefore it'll hold its edge. And I've done that before on thinner blades like this. But this is for pure food prep, and that'll be perfectly enough. All I need for the meat and what have not. So what I'm going to do now is just get this stained up, because I'm not liking the pine. It's definitely pine. You can smell it as you're grinding it. If not, it might be a larch, but you know, some form of conifer is on here. And then once I get that stained up, I'm going to give it a bit of a clean down and then polish it, and it's going to have like a nice woody looking effect to it. Probably do a bit more sanding just here. I'm just feeling it in my hand as we go along. There you go. Like I say, I'm not going crazy here, guys. You can see here I can do a bit more sanding, but I'm not bothered about it all lining up too much, because for its tended use, it doesn't have to be pretty, as long as it's more practical, a bit more comfortable. As now, it feels a lot better than when I bought it anyways. It's the construction with the pins here were poorly done. Glue everywhere, absolutely glue everywhere. So I might just do a little bit more work on these pins here. But other than that, that will be done. Is it a nicer colour? As you can see there, one layer is all I'm doing. Go too crazy and put layers and layers and layers. So now you can see there, it almost looks like rosewood, but it's not. It's how you turn pine into rosewood. Dye it. Look at the pins, they've gone gold. They've gone to like a brassy colour. Wiping it off now. I'm going to put a bit of alcohol just here with the blade, just to kind of get that off a bit. I will polish it, so I'm just going to let that sort of dry in there. So dye on, dye off. Already you can see that looks tidier. I haven't done really much to this knife, just shapened it. Put a bit of dye on, wiped it off. That's all it needs to do. As you can see, it looks quite nice, doesn't it? Let's put that there. Okay, that's what we've got so far. By all means, it's not perfect, because I'm not going to put a lot of effort into this knife, just because it's inexpensive and it's not worth my time. I just want to make it a bit more user friendly. That's a nice handle, I think, you know, for what it needs to do. It's in the hand really comfortably now, all rounded off. By all means, not perfectly finished, you know, there's still a few little bumps and imperfections, but I'm happy as it is. That'll do. Get polished up. That stain, can you see what it does to the pine? Gives a completely different look, doesn't it? Around. So next step is to work on the edge, and I'm going to do this on my belt sander, and just going to take literally a micro bevel all the way around, and then I'm going to sharpen this knife and then give it a clean, and it should be ready for what I need to use it for. So I'll show you next step. Okay, so I've put a little bevel on that now, just a little micro edge on there, a little secondary bevel, and I just did it freehand. I didn't bother using any form of jigs or anything because this has already been set. All I need to do is just put an edge on that, so I did it freehand. Here's a piece of string just to kind of give you an idea. It now cuts things, so I wouldn't want to run my fingers over that now. It didn't take long at all. I'm going to use this stone here. This is a stone. I've got a couple of stones for free from someone, and I think this was meant to be a water stone, but they've been using oil on it. So I'll do the same. I'll put some oil on it. It's not the end of the world. I've got water stones. I've got loads of deluxe style stones. I'm not going to use my good stuff for a project like this. So I'm literally going to just use this stone, bit of oil, do the rough edge, and then do the smooth edge and see how that goes. And then give it a final clean, and then that'll be it. I'll show you the final article. So let me just grab my oil here. So I've got my oil. I'm just gonna just put a little bit of oil on that. That's all we need. Okay, give it a massage in. Those corners, get a bit more oil on there. That should be plenty. Okay. Right, so for my sharpening, I'm not going to do anything fancy. Literally going to set the bevel, go over to a smooth side, and call it done. I'll sit there probably stropping it today when I'm watching telly. That's when I like to do my strops. Sit there all stroppy. So get my edge, find my angle I need. Always find that if you learn to sharpen freehand, you know how to set your bevel on the grinder as well. Because you just start learning about angles and stuff, you know, you start realizing good angles for knife edges. And in the jungle, we were sharpening our machetes, we would find stones that were suitable for sharpening and just dump our machetes into the water and just start sharpening on them. You know, it's all about the edge at the end of the day. We could be very specific here and looking at different angles and, you know, how they meet up and what have not. But at the end of the day, what's more important on a knife is how sharp that edge is, and then obviously how comfortable that handle is. So, does it have to be pretty? Nope. Does it have to be functional? Yes. And that's what this knife is all about. I'm not going to put a lot of time and effort into a blade that I haven't spent a lot of money on. This is just finishing it off. I bought an unfinished blade from Springfield, and all I'm doing is finishing it off and seeing how it performs for the purpose I want, which is cooking and, you know, chopping up meat and vegetables and what have not. So this is going to be a glorified kitchen knife. It's not going to be anything precious to me. See how that looks. Oh yes, it's getting a little bite now. What you do is just get your edge, and what I like to do is once I've got an edge, is you'll feel a little burr on one side. It's on that side. I'm getting this in camera here. It's on that side. So what I'm going to do now is I count from 10, and then in 2 times table, I go 10 strokes that way, 10 strokes that way, 8, 8, 6, 6, 4, 4, and then 1, 1, and I do 1 alternating for 10 times. So it looks like this. So I'll go from my edge and I lift up slightly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'll do the same coming in this direction. And then when I do 8, I start from the tip and go in. And I do the same for 8. And then it goes 6, 4, 2, and then 10 alternating. I'm going to get on with that. I'm not going to film the whole process because I've got a whole video for sharpening that I'll do in the future. I don't want to give it away now, but we'll talk about sharpening and look at different stones in other videos. But for now, I'm just going to crack on with the sharpening. Okay, that is it done. Put an edge on. There's the handle. Not perfect by all means, but I'll do the job. Give you an idea. Sharpness, I found a piece of paper. There you go. Not perfectly sharp. It needs to do a strop on it by all means. But it's got an edge. That's the key thing. And then we can use it for cooking meals and cooking food. That's what this knife is going to be. So all I'm going to do is, I'm not going to make a shape for it. I'm just going to have a piece of card that surrounds it like that as a little protector. Make, which is easy enough. Bit of card and a bit of duct tape. I'm not doing anything fancy. Let's say it's a kitchen knife. That's what this is going to be. And that's that there, guys. So as you can probably agree, it's a lot better looking now than from when I first bought it. It was £7 in Springfield. If you want, guys, I'll put a little link into the comment section so where you can buy this knife. It resembles, as I said, the Old Hickory style knife, and it has a very old vintage look about it, which is what I like. It's sort of like something you might find in the fur trade era, but that's that there. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate that. As part of my season of dealing with your knives, this is how you can buy an unfinished knife, and you can get axes very similar. I've got a chicken behind me. You can get axes are similar, they're unfinished, need sharpening, need finishing up with the handles and what have not, and they're inexpensive. And the reason for that is because they're unfinished, and that's what you just need to do, is just kind of spend a bit of time to get it to your standards. In this case, I'm happy how that's turned out. That's going to be great for cooking, especially when I'm canoeing. That'd be a fantastic little kitchen knife, and that's its purpose. On my next clip here, so I'll show you me chopping some food before we wrap this video up. So we'll take you into the kitchen just to try it out and you can see for yourself. But guys, if you enjoyed today's video, give me a little like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.